Hello everybody, Vicky here. It's been quite a while, I think going on 4 weeks since I posted a video. Lots has been happening. Unfortunately, none of it related to the renovations, but I do have some news on that. So what I thought I'd do is I'd come on and I'd just explain what's been happening inside our home and inside my head. And in front of me, like I've been sitting out in the lounge room quite a bit. I did get very, very unwell. Just the normal thing that happens to me. So I've had my week in hospital and I've been home, gosh, I think this is going on the end of the third week and I am doing brilliantly. So treatment for this quarter were absolutely amazing. So I do have videos recorded that are waiting for me to edit. So this one is sort of jump the queue. But after this one, I'll try and put the ones that I've got waiting to be edited out in a row. So they're sort of like, it's just mainly my news and what I chat on about really that changes. But I did want to tell everybody what I was up to. And I am starting to try and learn a different way to live, because the way I've always lived is you get up in the morning, you decide what you're going to do, and you just get on and do it, and you don't stop until the end of the day or until you drop. Well, my body these days isn't letting me do it, and I've got some issues that need dealing with, but anyway, I'm fabulous. So sitting out in the lounge room, and next to my chair I have a 3-tiered trolley, and I have a little sewing basket that sits on top of it that's got the basics. And then in the second, I've organised it. So this is all in the trolley, and then down the bottom there's a couple of bits, a bit of odd stuff. So I've gone through the first lot of little tub of fabric that I could find, and I've just worked on that. So I've got a little tub now with fabric scraps in it that are big enough to do something with, but I just don't know where it is at the moment. So what's in front of me, I have been sewing since I was about 7 or 9, or I think it was 7, it might have been 9, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I've been sewing for a very long time, and I have been a patchwork quilter for over 30 years. It's starting to get too big, these numbers, aren't they? And one of the things I've done machine quilts. I've done a lot of machine quilts for different people. I haven't managed to do one that stayed with us yet, but that's okay. But one of the things I really love to do is hand sewing. I get more enjoyment from that, and it also gives me something when I'm sitting in the chair. Graham and I enjoy watching the football together in football season, but I can't sit and watch the television without having something in my lap to do. And I think most of us artisans, creators are all the same. So I'm just coming on to show you that I am here. I am still absolutely keen to keep my little channel going. And the other thing that I've realised too is I've always wanted, actually I'll just do a little bit of sewing while we're talking. So English paper piecing, and we'll do it this way. I'll show you the rest of what's in there in a minute. So English paper piecing patchwork is where you cut out a shape and then you cut out your fabric 1/4 of an inch bigger than what this is. So you start with this. Now my templates are all used with flyers that have come in the mail, use recycled copy paper, which that is, I don't know what that was, it says admin fund, so probably something to do with our accounting. So I use waste paper, I call it. It's all clean, and it's an 80 GSM, so it's a copy. So I also, what I do here is I use the cheapest thread that I can find, and it's not good. I wouldn't put it through my sewing machine. I don't think there's any strength in it at all. So I just wrap the cotton around my needle. So I just put it there and I wrap it around a couple of times. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and line it up with a piece of paper. So the cotton, grab the tail, hang on to the tail, wrap it a couple of times around your needle, and then you pull it through all the way down to the end, and then you have a knot in there. Doesn't have to be a big knot. Now when I sew, I always end up doing this to my needle. So you'll see my needle has got a little break in the chrome, the nickel or whatever it is, and it's bending. So this is probably the time you should replace your needle. But I hang on to my needle like that, and it gets a bow in it. So then what we do is we take a piece of fabric which is 1/4 of an inch bigger than what a piece of paper is. We fold it over. Now I always start so that the knot is on the outside, and that just makes unpicking it all later. So we sew this onto the paper, and the reason why I use the cheapest thread and the reason why I put the knot on the outside is because all this tacking stitch will get pulled out, and you just hold it. I'm sort of like holding it up away from me so you can see. Makes me a bit clumsy. So then you just do that, and you can see I've gone a little bit wonky. I've got a little bit more over there than there, but that's okay. This was all seam allowance finished quilt, so I'll show you what we do with that after. So then we just turn it over, and you can see I've almost had to pull this out because I've only just got a good amount to fold over there, which is enough. So I fold it in there. So it's best to try and keep your paper central, but because I'm sort of like trying to show you, I'm a bit clumsy. Probably for this I should put a pin in it. And what you can do to stop it from going like that, we can just pin it. But I've cramped myself up with my basket next to me, and I've got my hands out. Now I haven't done a video that hasn't had a voiceover for quite some time, simply because there's too much noise around me. So I'm going to see if I can actually get one done today. So there we have it, and there we have one hexagon like that. Now just so that's what it looks like. So just a minute. Now as a rule I never pin these, but because I'm going to be doing it, I want you to see how it's done properly, and because I'm holding it away from me and I'm talking, I might. So all this paper gets pulled out at the end, and all this cheap cotton that we've just stitched around, all that will get pulled out too. But you do not ever pull the paper out until, so you've got, where's my ones that are done? So these are the ones that I've been working on when I really haven't been able to do anything else. So when I am feeling too, I don't like to use the word ill because I'm not ill, but as I get worse, closer to my 4-monthly time for treatment, I slow right down. I get very fatigued, and the day before I went into hospital this time I fell, and I scolded myself right up my arm. You will see coming up what happened to my arms and my hands. They look really tragic, but I made videos anyway. So we put them all together, and then we do a little overstitch. So you never take your pieces of paper out until you have one of these locked in. But what I prefer to do is I wait until the quilt is completely finished. Now these ones are one inch. I have got some that are like 11 inch. Yeah. So they're each one of the arms of the hexagon is an inch, and it is 2 inches from point to point. So I've got some other stuff to show you relating to this, but I didn't bring it with me, so I'll pause in a minute and I'll just tell you what's inside my head and what's happening. So one of the things about me is that I have this brain that sees something and goes, oh, I'd like to know how that works. Oh, I'd like to just do one of those. Oh, I'm dead keen on that, and off I go. I just go off on these little segues all the time, because I just sometimes, the things I learn stay with me, and then of course that just adds one more thing that I've added to my list of things that I wanted to be doing. So one of the hardest things for me to do so far with my channel and with my videos is I have got a fixed overhead camera above me, and I have got a couple of iPads. So we are fairly well checked up in this house. We've got lots of other stuff as well. Graham's into computers, and well, anyway, what I don't have is anything really sound and picture that or set up to be able to video when I'm away from this desk. So I've talked to Graham, and we're going to look into me being able to make videos that don't involve me sitting in this chair, which is all I can do at the moment successfully. Whether it's just simply a stand, an adjustable stand that we can put the iPad on, and perhaps a little lapel mic. I don't want anything high tech, expensive, grand. I just want something that so I'm not tethered to this desk, because I love to cook. I obviously love to sew. I love to quilt. I've got a lovely little video coming up. It's going to be the first, but I had someone to help me. I won't tell you about it. You wait and see. I had somebody helping me with the videoing last night, so that'll come up soon. And I just want to start doing different things. Like, I love to garden, very much in a limited capacity these days, but I still can. So that's what's been sort of going on. So while it seems like I'm not doing anything and I'm not taking notes, I'm not sort of like, this is me doing nothing. This is what I do when I can't get about. And there's always something, and this is what I love about paper piecing. So you've got the gist of that one. So if you'd like to do it now, I am absolutely blessed because I have a husband with a laser machine. If you think you would like to give this a go, if you get in contact with me, I'll get him to cut some papers for you, and then all you have to do is cut the fabric. Now, it's a 1/4 inch seam around these hexagons. Thank you, Louie. And sometimes I'm a little bit out with cutting of the fabric. I will cut a stack of fabric together, and then you get something like this that'll happen. I caught the selvage, that white bit's selvage with holes in it, so that can't be used for this, but the other bit of fabric, it will come in handy for something. I won't throw it out. So I sat and I cut hexagons this size and a smaller one than this. I made a Dresden plate quilt, and it had eight plates in it, and then it was a border or what have you, and that I did it out of the 1950s reproduction fabrics. So of course every project you do, whether it's paper, fabric, it doesn't really matter. Even when you're making preserves, there's always that last bit that it's not quite enough to fill a jar. So I whittle it down until there's not much of anything at all. So so there you go. That's the beginnings. That's where we start with English paper piecing, and it's so relaxing. It's so meditative. You can just lose yourself doing this. It's just a grand way. And I sit there and I sew, and that's why my thumbnail, you can see all the layers of the thumb that's been, because when I'm sewing, the needle keeps flicking into the nail, and I usually sew with a symbol on as well. So we'll just put those away. I'll stick you in there for the moment. So I've got the bag that needs to be done, and then I put them into the one that's being done. No doubt I'll be coming across more fabric that will go into this. Now, if you just give me a moment, I'm going to go and get something that I forgot to get to show you. Okay, great excitement. The ice cream man came. Graham went down to get the ice creams. I went to buy the ice creams for the kids next door, and Louis, out the door. I didn't even know he'd got out. Oh, he's a funny little thing. When we first got him, he would run all around the neighbourhood, and it was like trying to herd cockroaches. But he's pretty good these days. So anyway, back to what we're doing. Let me just sit on my chair properly. So what I've done is with some fabric that I've been able to find to process to find out what I'm going to do with it. As I was doing it, I cut hexagons. So these are the ones that you just saw me doing, those ones. And then, like I said, Graham's got a laser printer, and he just uses scrap paper to cut my hexagons out for. The important bit is to have these exact. The papers have to be exact. The fabric can be a little bit wobbly, but you don't want too much of it, otherwise, as you would imagine, you've got 6 sides coming together. If you've got too much fabric in your seam, it'll be too bulky. So that's that one. And then I've got all these lovely little containers. So this one is a scrap quilt again. That's in a quilt that I've got to sandwich. I've got one finished, ready to be sandwiched, which is backing, wadding the top. So that fabric's in there, but they're all different sizes, and this is the size. This is crazy. So to use up all those little scraps, because like I said, we don't waste anything. So these are really good, these little pockets. So we've got the little net one at the front, so I can see straight away it's the small hexagon. And then I've got all the hexagons done and cut there, and this is for the finished ones. So this little fellow is, the finished size is 1 inch, and each side is 1/2 inch. So that's a little one. So that's another one that I started. Now, because I use scraps, these are like the never-ending story. You can just go on and on and on. And then now in this one, same size, 1 inch, and these are the fabrics that I use. So these are the blades to the Dresden plate that I did the quilt out of. So I'll put them together and maybe make a pillow or a cushion out of those. And then in here, this is what it looks like when you start putting it together. So this is the 1950s reproduction that I was telling you about. So that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when it all starts coming together, and this is what it is. So from the process I just showed you, you go from that, and then you go to there, and you do a little over stitch, which I can show you if anybody would like me to. I'm not sure how much. I might do a quilting video on that, but this is just a show and tell at the moment. So there's that one, and the little one got away. That's a reproduction one, I think. So we'll pop that in there. So I actually took this one to hospital with me for the week, so I sat and did those when I could get my head together after the infusions. And these are all scraps still of that reproduction, and I've just left them. There's little there from the border, so there's a little square that I put in up in the top corner. So I'm waiting to see whether or not I'll do anything with that, or whether I'll cut it down into 1 inch. And I think I've got their strips that was for, I think maybe the binding. So there's that, And then there's this one. This is all the leftovers from the one I've just done. It's really bright, and it looks amazing. It's just an explosion of colour. So this is from the fabric that was left over from that. I'm just doing all those now as well. So I think that's all there is of that one. And then I've got a slow journal cover, a slow journal, a slow stitch. So that's a doily. I thought that would look quite nice with that. So what I've done is I've put all, I've used a quilter's tack, and oh no I haven't, I've used just a little running stitch, and I've stitched all that together, so that will be there from the fabric that was left over. So that goes in there. I haven't folded it right. Well, I'll just sit that there. Now this one is one that that one's ready to go. This one's ready to go. I just did it so I know what I was going to use that leftover fabric. So I've got bits and pieces of lace, all sorts of different things there, ready to go on to this one. Now this one, I've sewn down all of the fabric, and I've done that stitching there on there, so that's all stitched there. But I did stop it because I thought it might be an idea if I square it all off properly, because if I go around doing all this stitching, I'm going to be cutting into the embroidery, and that could make it unravel. So I've sort of stopped that, and I've just got a stitch down here. So what I've done is I've done just a little tuck, because this fabric frays really easily, so I've put a tuck in it, and I've just sort of like done a little slip stitch to join them all together, just to make sure that they don't. So I don't know if you can see there, I've done a slip stitch there to sew it on. So I've got this little bit to sew down there, and then I'm going to square it up, and that way if I cut any of this I can fix it up before it goes into being the journal. Just makes sense. So that there is the back of it, which is like a dog's breakfast, but that's just my quilting tacking. I don't think I've ever done anything as messy as that, and it's so liberating. It seriously is, just to be messy on the back, because you know, like I was taught by old school teachers, so you know, just allowing yourself to just do it and not worrying about what's going on the back. It kind of makes me laugh really, because nobody's ever going to see it. It's a bit like the old grandma saying about, you know, oh my floors are so clean you could eat off them, and I'm like, but we've got plates. This one is a little kit that I don't know how long ago, I'm not even 100% sure I bought it. It might have been a gift, and it's silk, and it's got the most amazing threads and bits to go in it, and that's a little needle case. Now it's from Inspirations, issue number 3. I don't know whether or not issue number 43. I don't know whether or not they've still got it, but I can Google that, or I can just decide to do my own thing on it. So that's in there if it takes my fancy. And I've just put a few things up here so that if I haven't got quite what I want in the slow stitch, I've got that. Now there's a lovely lady, and I don't get to see her very much because she's in England, and she does lives, and complete with a Cody hair. I've cut out some circles, because if you pop across to Janet's channel, she does these little puppy faces, or these faces on these circles. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to just cut out a few of those, and that's corduroy, and I'm going to make some puppy faces because they're cute. It does not have to be another reason. And I have got some others cut out that will be the petals of a flower, and put a button in the middle of them. So you can see that I've been busy. It's just I have no way, sort of on my own at the moment. I haven't figured it out, but I'm sure I will. So that's what sits next to me in the lounge room. That's what I'm doing when I say I'm doing nothing. Now, what I didn't come across in there, and I'm a bit confused why, is, check this out. This, I think we've got to go into the thousands now. I've got all these done. This is all scrap paper and leftover fabrics. And this one. Now, the reason why I haven't started sewing this together, because I had this insane idea, which would have been a great idea when I pulled it off, to do a colour wash using all these. But the problem is, this is scrap paper. It's not a design quilt. It hasn't been put together in mind to do any sort of design. The only thing I wanted to do was just use my scraps, and look, they're packed in like it's crazy. And I'm always going to have scraps. So what I thought I would do is that's why I probably haven't got any of these in here at the moment. I'm going to stop making these, and I'm going to start just sewing them together. If I want to do a colour wash, I will get the fabric and decide that I've got light, medium, dark, enough of each one. And then a colour wash is when you start up in the top left hand side. Well, the one and only I've done, I started up in the top left hand side, and I went from light, and it just washes right down through the quilt. It gets darker and darker as you go, so on the bottom's the darkest colour. Now, I was thinking I was going to do that with this quilt, but like I said, because there's no rhyme or reason to it, because it's all just leftover stuff or little bits of fabric that I've had fabric given to me that I know that I wouldn't use, so I've used it in here. Because if you don't like a fabric as a whole, as quilters, we don't have to waste it. We can cut it down, as you can see, to very small pieces, and we can use it. And because I've got a lot of journal covers prepared with fabric, I've had little offcuts from there that you can use. I can always use. It's got to be very tiny for me to give up on it. But then I've even got another solution for that, but that's another story for another day. So I found some of my threads. I'm pretty sure this isn't all of them. I have another plastic container with them somewhere. I was never a fan on these plastic containers. I used to always make little calico bags or bags from leftovers from clothes that I'd made. But I've gone this way this time because I can see what I've got, and I've had these probably, 11 years, so it's within the last 11 years, but I think this is within the last 9 years or so. I've had these, and they weren't wound onto bobbins, and they were just kicking around. I've got a few different containers somewhere. I'm pretty sure I've got more, but what I've got here, it won't matter what I want to do. So they're really cheap stranded cottons. I'm not sure why I ended up with them, but they will have a use somewhere. I'm just not sure where. And I've got beautiful mohair, and then I've got some bits and bobs in there just to grab quick. I do have a separate braid and button and tape, but I just wanted a little bit in here. I've got a few beads in there. I had to go and buy some because I couldn't find any, and then I found them, but that's okay. I will use them. And then in this box here, I've got stranded cottons and variegated. Oh, these aren't stranded. Oh yeah, they are stranded, sorry, and they're variegated. And they're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colours. So they will look good when I'm using that colour at the moment, obviously. Then I've got some metallic. So, I can see what I've got. And like I can go, I don't know where the rest of it is, but I've got enough variety here that I will have a thread for every occasion, I believe. I do cross stitch. I have got cross stitch kits to do. And I cook. well. We've got to go to the garden centre and get our seedlings very soon because it's getting too late. So I think what I'm saying is coming up on my channel, well, Graham's in my channel because he's a part of this. We're going to start branching out a little bit, and so I can have more regular content. Start filming around, and there might be, like, if we can get a good crop of tomatoes, for example, I'll do my tomato relish. And the other thing that I've been doing, which is doing my head in, I have been cataloguing stock. Oh, what fun it is. So I've got a whole heap of what I think are very versatile, beautiful die cuts. So I'm just writing them up at the moment in the book, and then they will go out to Graham, and Graham will upload all these for me. So pop over onto the BME website and have a look at what's going on in there. There's lots of things. And another thing that I've done, and it's really sad in a way, I did a lot of aprons. Like, I'm talking about 150 aprons, and I've bagged them all up and they're ready to go, and I just haven't catalogued them, and I did them years ago. So this isn't one of my aprons, so it's a bit hard to tell you. So this is the head, the loop. So that's the bit that goes over the head, and it's fully lined. It's got this hand towel. It's almost a work of art all of its own now. So this Velcro, it comes off. So you can separate the hand towel from the apron and just pop it in the wash if you don't want to put your apron in. Now you can have a look at all the product that's on there, and that's stiff. But if you turn it over the back, it's pretty clean. There's a couple of spots there, but I have never had any paint product come through when I'm wearing my apron. So I've got stacks of those. So keep an eye out in the shop. They'll be going up. I have sold a few to people who knew I had them. So they're just brilliant. No, I might just have to frame this one when I'm finished with it. So yeah, I'm doing some cataloguing, which really is, I reckon, if I went and sat outside and watched the grass grow, I'd have more fun. But we do what we have to do, don't we? So die cuts, all sorts of different ones that I use. That basically I put in the ones that I find the best to use. So we've got labels there. Got white labels, mixed labels, black labels. I mean, we've got a lot to choose from. So if I've cut them out and it's what you like and you don't have to dye, you have access to them. You just have to let me know. So they're on the shop. So I think that's about all I have in my little show and tell and my little catch up. So the videos that are going to come after this have all been done before today, but it's just getting a little bit leggy, and I've got a couple of that are nearly ready to go up, but Graham's waiting on this so he can get it done, so he knows what he's doing. So if you are pleased with what we've done today, what I've shown you, what we've talked about, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, maybe a comment. That would be really lovely. Maybe you might be able to like to tell me what you think about my idea of expanding my filming so it incorporates more of our life, because I am more than what I do here at this table. So yeah, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and pop over onto the shop and have a look at what we've got there. And on that note, I will say goodbye for now. Be kind to you, and please be kind to the person standing next to you. Until next time, bye for now.